Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 9, Defiant. In this episode, evil Riker woos Kira so he can steal the Defiant and use it to prove that Cardassia has an invasion fleet. So, they used your favorite storytelling technique.
Yeah, where they remind us that Next Gen exists.
But at this point, it doesn't anymore. So
okay.
They're just sort of reminding you that it did exist.
So it's different this time.
Yeah. A whole new twist on your favorite technique.
It doesn't exist. It did exist. What a change of pace.
So I guess immediately you probably cast your mind back to Q-less in Season 1.
That's exactly where my mind went, and that's where my expectations were going into this as soon as Riker showed up.
Well, then you were probably quite surprised.
Yeah, this is nowhere near as bad as that. Hardly anything is as bad as Q-less.
Although I would say this episode is not exactly good in some sense. It's okay, I thought. What did you think?
I thought it was okay as well. I'm glad that it doesn't really matter if you don't know anything about Riker going into this episode, because I don't know anything about Riker. The extent of my exposure to Riker before watching this was I saw that collection of clips of where he would swoop his leg over a chair every time he sits down. Well, I don't know if it's every time, but he does it often. And so that's all I have connected to this character is his weird habit of swooping his leg.
Which he didn't even do.
Yeah, so disappointed.
But this isn't even Riker. Okay, if you want the backstory, there is a Next Generation episode where they go to a planet that Riker was on like 8 years ago before Next Gen started, chronologically. But he escaped just in time, and when they go there, they find there's a duplicate. So he's a duplicate from before the start of Next Gen.
So is he evil because he resents being a duplicate?
Well, he's only in that episode of Next Gen and then this one so far. So he's not really developed very much. He's not evil in the Next Gen one, really. He's just a bit lonely. And here he's, I don't know if you want to call him evil. He's a Maquis guy, so he's stirring things.
Yeah, attaching the evil label seems too harsh.
But, well, one of my two criticisms was that he has a goatee for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
It seems like they did that to establish him as an evil character.
I never thought that was something a show did, where they had the evil character just have a goatee. I always thought that was a joke, that no one actually used it seriously.
It's back from original series of Star Trek. The first time they go to the Mirror Universe, Mirror Spock has a goatee.
Okay.
I think that might even be where that trope derives from.
I only know about that trope through parodies, so it was strange for me to see it employed seriously.
Yeah, it was really bizarre because he could have just grown his sideburns. It'd only take a few weeks. Presumably this thing has been planned for a really long time. It seems odd that he didn't just grow the Riker beard. Or just have a goatee. People aren't going to just see him without his mutton chops and go, "Oh, you're not Will Riker." Will Riker has a staunch pro-mutton chop ideology. You must be Tom Riker. He had fake beard bits, which is just so bizarre because that would look slightly fake.
Yeah, when he peeled those off, it was really strange. It made for some weird characterization, especially for me, as someone who doesn't really have a good mental image of Riker. I wouldn't have even realized if he just showed up in a goatee only that that's not normal. So it was just strange to suddenly see that.
Yeah, there was no point to that, because if you knew there was a duplicate, or if you didn't, either way, peeling bits of his beard off doesn't clue you in that that's what's going on. So it's just, it stuck out as overly silly and overly dramatic for what it was.
It makes it clear that something's not right, but it's a strange way to communicate that.
Well, he's already shot Kira at that point, so
All right.
the beard thing is not really... I guess it's cementing the fact that he's evil by revealing his goatee hidden in plain sight on his face.
Ah, he has a goatee. He's got to be evil.
It was there all along, hidden inside his beard. We got a lot of Gull to Cat time. Him and Cisco are becoming best friends.
Cisco pretends to hate Goldicat, but he secretly loves him.
They are kind of similar guys, apart from Gull to Cat is a little bit strange.
Strange how?
I don't know, you just get a creepy vibe from him. Okay, so say you're on Deep Space Nine, you have a child, his name is Bradley Williamson, he's 6 years old, brown hair.
Okay.
And you have to go to Bajor for a day trip, so you think, oh, I need a babysitter. And you look in the ship's computer, there's only two options. Cisco or Gull to Cat. Who do you leave Bradley Williamson with?
Cisco.
But not Gull to Cat?
Nope.
And that is why I say he's a little bit strange.
Okay, fair enough.
If you're unprepared to leave Bradley Williamson with him, in a perfectly safe environment where nothing can really go wrong, then I think, yeah, that's a slightly strange quality.
Oh, there was one thing that left me confused and they didn't explain regarding Next Gen. I'm assuming it has something to do with Next Gen.
I think I know what you're going to say.
It's about the O'Brien hate.
Yeah, that I was looking on the wiki, and there were people discussing that they didn't understand why that's in there.
I kept waiting for that to be resolved, and it stuck out to me because who could hate O'Brien? And then they never talked about it.
I can tell you what that was supposed to be, but you'll just say, oh, okay.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so Tom Riker never knew O'Brien, but Will Riker knew O'Brien really well because they served together. So he just gives him the cold shoulder to get him out of the way so that he doesn't have to socialize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really stupid because he could have just said, oh, wow, long time no see. We should catch up afterwards. Get out of here.
They made that so awkward.
Yeah, it was kind of bad because Riker is sort of a smooth guy. He's the sort of cool, young, upstart sort of character, and it was really clunky from him. He would usually come up with something more fluid to diffuse the situation.
Now I'm disappointed that's not a nod to Next Gen.
Okay. Like there was an episode of Next Gen where O'Brien just, I don't know what he would do, that he would be in the bad books with Riker yet not know it.
Yeah.
Some sort of transporter accident, which was really embarrassing, but O'Brien was completely professional about it. Like he accidentally transported Riker's clothes off.
He transported his sideburns off.
It
all makes sense.
Transported him nude onto the bridge. Because then he might not know, because he just went off the transport pad. And when he materialized, he was naked and embarrassed or whatever. And annoyed at O'Brien because Riker thought it was deliberate. But no, this is stupid. There is no such thing. It's just a really clunky, ill-explained bluff.
Well, I'm glad to have that cleared up.
It's supposed to foreshadow that Riker is not all he's cracked up to be, because O'Brien has that shot in the hallway where he's sort of sad and confused.
Yeah, which is a good shot. I like when they have those moments of silences, and it's not just exposition.
It's in my nature to be confused. Oh, I haven't done that one in a while. I have a couple of other criticisms apart from beard-related stuff.
Let's hear it.
The crew do not mutineer at any point, so it's especially noticeable at the end when Kira takes the ship away and is going to pilot it back to Federation space, and it's her with a bunch of terrorists. She's going to take them back to where they're all going to get tried for their crimes. Wouldn't one of them just zap her and then say, let's take this ship for a little joyride?
Yeah, that sticks out.
But it's also earlier on, Riker is overly willing to surrender and face life in prison. Kira says, oh, the only reason you'd go on is if you want to die. But I think even if you didn't want to die, you would try more than that to escape somehow. He just seems to give up completely.
Without any resistance. It happens so abruptly. We think you should give up. Okay, I will.
Yeah, he doesn't brainstorm for a third option, or a fourth, or a fifth, or anything. He just has fight or surrender, and he's like, well, fight, and then Kira says, well, how about surrender? And he goes, yeah, okay, surrender then. Change my mind.
We spend so much time tracking down the Defiant, and then stuff gets blown up, and then that's how it resolves, and it falls flat.
Yeah, the ending of this episode was a letdown, but you know it's always going to be, because you know they're going to capture the Defiant without blowing it up. So, you know, there's probably going to be some sort of surrender. I don't know, it could have been exciting despite the fact that the outcome is predictable, but in this case, it wasn't.
I'm curious whether one of your criticisms is the one I have.
Well, the other one I noted down was that the Observer from the Obsidian Order was like a pantomime villain. So they find out that, the Obsidian Order have a fleet, which is like a seriously major political/military crime. I don't even know how you classify it. It's suggestive of a coup, pretty much. And she just sort of giggles like, ha ha ha. You'll never figure out about our secret fleet. Ha 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 ha.
While I talk about it in front of Cisco.
Yeah. I don't know. If it was as incredibly serious as the cat suggested, she treated it ridiculously.
She could be incompetent at her job.
What? A Cardassian? That never happens. They're all perfect. What did you have as a criticism?
Oh, so when Riker communicates with Deep Space Nine, he says something exploded, Kira's injured, do this right now. I forgot what he asked them to do. And then Cisco says, we'll do that, and then after we'll beam you off. And I'm thinking, why don't you beam them off, at least Kira, immediately? He just said that she's injured.
Yeah, that stuck out to me as well. Why wait before beaming Kira off. It's not like the transporter. They have loads of transporters. So yeah, it seems odd that they didn't immediately evacuate everyone but the essential personnel. I guess it's because only O'Brien works the transporters for the whole station, so they didn't want to get him tied up trying to do 2 requests in succession.
Can't ask too much of Vital O'Brien.
If he messed up, then they could have another Riker.
I would have liked that plot twist more than what we got. Maybe.
What, just more and more Rikers? Make it the sexiest show on air.
Yeah, have a Riker and Riker fistfight.
That would probably be terrible, because anytime they superimpose the same character, same actor in a shot, it always seems clunky at best.
Yeah, one version, his face is obviously obscured because it's not actually him, and then there's awkward camera movements. Another thing I found weird about this episode was Bashir threatening Kira to relax.
Yeah, mandatory fun. It's another example of him prescribing rest as well.
Yeah. Another version of rest. Sit down, have fun.
And he demanded that she has genuine enjoyment, or something to that effect, which is impossible to really assess.
He could have a genuine fun odometer. We don't know what tools he has.
Well, okay, so if he does have that sort of tool, that's even worse. He's basically being a thought police.
Which is not above Bashir.
Well, no, his medical ethics are shaky at best. Although he's been reasonably good for a while, I think this is another example of him giving prescriptions which are, I would guess, not standard, and making completely unreasonable demands about them.
I think that's why this sticks out so much. The writers have done a great job this season with Bashir as far as his medical advice, and so this unreasonable demand that he tried to brute force on Kira was weird.
Yeah, he's back to his old tricks again.
Old habits die hard.
Moving on, do you have a delicious quote of the show?
I don't know how delicious it is, but I have one. Terrorists don't get to be heroes. And we've talked about this before, how this show is so interesting to watch, or for you, in your case, rewatch post 9/11, because it does deal with terrorism and acts of terrorism. And that's such a loaded sentence in today's landscape.
Yeah, you would not have a sympathetic hero character on a TV show saying, I was a terrorist.
Yeah.
And it worked really
outrageous. Well. Yeah, it did work well.
Well, terrorism does work. It's effective, or people wouldn't do it. I mean, I'm not saying that they should do it, obviously, and I'm not saying it's the most effective way, but it has an effect.
Creating characters like this and having them say lines like this would be so risky now. I doubt most writers would take that risk.
Yeah, they would have to be a lot more careful. Although the way they frame it in this is actually pretty decent, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't bring it up to condemn them. Just, it's so... Those were simpler times, I guess.
Even if it were simpler times, I think it still stands up to a critical analysis now. Kira's often very regretful about what she's done and admits she only did it because she had no other choice. Even in this episode, I think it stands up. And just generally, whenever they raise the issue.
It's not an issue they're afraid to cover or explore, and that's good.
Well, they would be now, I think.
Yeah.
Jack Bauer would run in and start torturing everyone. It's strange that she says terrorists don't get to be heroes because depending on what side of the conflict you're on, people who are terrorists are considered heroes by certain people. I mean, it's all contextual, so I don't know if her statement is really correct, especially as she is kind of like a war hero.
Didn't we have an episode about a Bajoran war hero, and he turned out to be false?
Yeah, and was a terrorist, I guess, in the same sense Kira was.
The quote doesn't ring true to me, but I can see it as Kira simply trying to manipulate Riker into stepping down.
Yeah, which didn't work up until the end when it suddenly did. Oh well. Well, goodbye, evil Riker. You're off to a Cardassian prison camp.
I'm sure that's lovely.
Yeah, well, there's always work to do there.
Bang on some rocks.
Yeah, it's always punching rocks. I don't know why they don't just build a machine to do that.
Then what would they do with all of those prisoners?
Just build a machine to punch them as well.
To punch the prisoners?
That's effectively what the forced labor camps are for, just to beat them up by getting them to punch rocks. So just make a machine to punch prisoners and rocks.
Well, they either punch rocks or they make license plates.
Well, the ships in the Obsidian Order fleet.
Yeah, they could. I mean, there have to be countless ships in a universe where everyone has the technology for space travel. So just make space license plates.
Yeah, they're going to need at least 2 license plates per ship. That's a lot of punching.
Why 2?
One for the front, one for the back.
But you can approach a ship from many different ways.
You can approach a car from many different ways, but they only put 2 on them.
Well, you're not going to approach a car from the top.
Maybe you are.
Not in the normal course of driving. Why are they always on the same plane when ships meet? They're never...
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're going to have to stop asking that question right now. It's forbidden from discussion.
Okay.
Anyway, I think we have exhausted discussion of this episode.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next one.
Let's end it abruptly like the episode ended.